family's lost, but we are unapologetic also. So hey, hi. I'm gonna go ahead and start with today has just welcome to our shit show.
I'm just trying to, just in the past couple hours of today, wrapping my head around. Okay,
I don't have any words for anything today except all the words y'all are gonna get.
Right.
I'll try to keep the cursing to a minimum.
Man, this is was energy drink and stimulant, and I'm still like.
I told you, I think the energy drinks are making they'll make me more foggy brained than.
They just make
not.
my eyes twitching. It won't stop.
Okay, something that I've noticed since we've started doing this is apparently I have an annoying blink. Now that it's been pointed out to me, I can't stop watching the blinking.
Pointed out by who?
One of the mean people on Facebook, but I don't know which one. But I do have a weird blink, and not doing it on purpose, and it's not a twitch, so I don't know how to stop it. Like, how do I not?
I don't even know what the hell you're talking about.
How do I not blink weird? Yeah, I don't know.
I have no idea what you're talking about. You also got to understand we have really bright lights on us.
And I have umbrellas on my eyelids.
And the air blowing like right on us because I hate sweating and I get grouchy when I get hot. So it's a lot of things that go on the back end of it's not just us sitting here being like, hey.
I would rather be cold than hot.
Yeah. And the lights, it's really bright in here. So maybe the blink is just because.
I don't know. But if you see me doing a weird blink, I don't know, pinch me or something.
I don't even know what the fuck you're talking about, so I can't. I'll just like try to kick you to the side. I don't know. What are we talking about today?
We are talking about girlfriends, but not,
friends?
Yeah, not
romantic friends.
Right. I didn't want to say, I wanted to say something really inappropriate, but I didn't.
Say it, I don't want to hear it.
I was going to say not a carpet muncher, but
My brain usually goes there, and it did not this time.
That's because of the energy drink. Mine went straight there.
Oh. Okay, so we're talking about friendships, which is actually pretty interesting. That just popped in my head because I have no concept of anything today. But it's our 30th anniversary this year of our friendship.
Thanks for reminding me of that. Actually, you know what? Yeehaw, because I'd love to be 30 again, and we'll just pretend we met at the hospital.
We were born
not in middle school.
But also you gotta think, like, okay, so we're gonna be talking about friendships. Good, bad, ugly, indifferent, whatever. So then I was telling you today, I was like, I know we talk about our ex-capades all the time, but I still have ex-capades of friends. They're still my ex-friends. I can tell you some stories. I have some juicy friend stories.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, I can tell you this one is probably my top 5 most traumatic moments in my life. Without a doubt. Like,
before you tell your story, I just want you to know that, you know how we talk about, or people will say to me, I can't believe you throw people's business out there, which by the way, I do not, but they say that to me. I am terrified of upsetting an ex-girlfriend. As I'm sitting here talking about what we're going to talk about, I'm like, oh, I don't want to piss them off. So,
Oh, we may be going down a rabbit hole, but screw it.
Tell me your story, though. Sorry, I didn't mean to go off.
Oh, no, you're good. And actually, it's interesting. So, I mean, this was, I don't know, 7th grade.
So, only 22 years ago.
Well, it was dramatic enough that it's in my top 5 of my most traumatic moments in my life. And and the reason I tell this story as my escapade is because this set me of what my friendships probably became for the rest of my life because of this.
Okay, all right.
So that's why I'm bringing
that's legit.
This is my probably starting moment of what
I have a girlfriend like that, and I was little, and
it's what so there was this girl, and which was very odd because y'all know I grew up Mormon, so her whole family of her 8 siblings, they all were part of our church. They're part of our community. Our moms were somewhat friends, so forth. But there was a day at school.
But there were no undergarments involved.
Not for a minor. Gotta be married for that shit.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh,
okay. And so there was a day that I just remember, and I can literally remember every single girl's face and hers. And I was walking to art class, And given our campus was like a college campus, it was very large. You go from building to building. You're not in one building. Like,
What state was this in?
this was in England. It wasn't even in the United
I
States.
actually did remember that you lived in England, but
Yeah,
well,
so I went to middle school in England, in Europe. So,
can you say why you were there?
oh, I grew up in the military.
Oh,
My
okay.
stepdad was in the Air Force, so that's why I was there. But I went to school on base. I wasn't in school off base, so it was all same thing, all military
Yeah.
kids. No, I mean we were on the same boat. But I had a somewhat, I guess you would call a boyfriend. You know, when you're that age, you're just like
You held hands.
you held hands,
Yeah.
maybe had a little
Oh
smooch.
no, I had some girls back in the day. Anybody's familiar? Nope. See, scared, scared, terrified of calling them out.
But so we were just walking. I'm walking to art class, and all of a sudden I'm like swarmed by like 6 girls, and they make like a circle around me.
This does sound terrible.
Fucking horrible. So at the point in time, I've always had long hair. Like I've always had long hair, and at that point in
And a
time,
lot of it.
and a lot of it, and at that point in time, my hair was actually longer than it is now.
Mhm.
So they like swarm me and make a big circle, and it takes like a good 30 seconds, and then they just disappear and go off their own directions. And then I'm walking with this other girl, and she's like, "Your hair's falling out." Like it was blowing in the wind.
Don't even tell me. Did they cut
So
your
they
hair?
cut my hair.
Okay, first of all, you've never told me this story.
She
And of course it's traumatic.
she cut my hair, and my hair, of course, was longer than it is now. And then it was like up. Ended up having to get it cut to like my neck.
Yeah.
So it was significant, over a foot of hair, and they just cut a chop of it. And then what the worst of it is, it was my last class of the day. So I
Was
went.
it super noticeable?
Yeah.
Oh, is
So I
it?
went to art, and it was our last class of the day. So
What
I'm like,
was
I'll
art?
just push through this, whatever, go home. So while it became known to everyone what had happened. So I'm walking from art to the bus, and I get on the bus, and everybody's like coming up to the bus windows and pointing and laughing at me as I'm sitting on the bus. So I like literally lay on the floor of the bus so nobody could see me.
But they knew you were there.
Yeah, but I
So that,
couldn't see them.
but think about your logic in that moment because they knew you were there, so they still were gonna laugh. But you were so determined to not have to face that moment. That's why you laid down on the ground. So
Yeah.
you didn't have to actually watch it happening.
Yeah,
'Cause it wasn't gonna stop it from happening.
no. So that, and then I went home, and my mom took me to get a haircut, and
Ooh, how was she about it? Because I mean, you did pageants and stuff, and as a mother, well, I'm not a girl mom, but as a mother, I would be,
I don't. I feel like on the back end of what happened, she should have stepped up for me more.
okay, all right.
I don't know. I don't know the facts of if she went to this mom because we went to church together. If she did, talk to her or had a conversation. Because
You've never had an adult conversation with your mom about this.
correct. So I don't want to throw anybody under the bus for something I don't know.
Yeah.
Right. So I just remember waiting till my stepdad got home, and then she took me to get a haircut. And even worse, we were on a military base, and it was at a barber shop.
And
it was the
because
only
it's a
thing
military
open.
base, that means everybody's going to know you had to go get your hair cut because of what happened. I would think that news would travel fast.
Right. But luckily, our school pulled from 4 different bases. So it's,
Oh,
pretty
okay.
big area. Then we all were carpooled
Okay.
to one central base for the middle school.
So how short did they have to cut it?
To like right below my chin.
Oof. You did have a lot of hair,
Did
so
have a lot
that
of
meant it probably
hair.
went out.
But, and that
Kinda like-
set me on the, what's the word? Trajectory?
Your path.
Yeah, of what I perceived as friendships of these, every single one of those girls, I thought they were my friends.
Ooh, that sucks.
I hung out with all of them outside, within school and outside of school.
Did you ever find out what their reason for it was?
A boy.
Of course it was for a boy.
It was a boy. The boy that I
Oh,
was,
the hand holder.
the hand holder,
Yeah.
was initiated, and apparently she liked him and didn't like that he liked me, and that was the consequence of it.
Okay, so while we're sitting here and we're talking about this, because it's terrible, and wait, before I move on, how has this, because you said it sent you on your path of like how you chose friends and how you felt about friends in the future, and staying young, I get it. Like I kind of know already. I don't feel like I need to ask you. Like I kind of know how you felt. But now as an adult, like grown, with girl children that are big, How has it affected you with friendships? You.
I probably would not have been as self-reliant and independent as I am, to be honest with you.
Okay. You
Um,
think that's the thing?
I feel like it is. It set me on a path to be like not being trustworthy of other women.
Okay. And you were military, so you did move. So
Right.
maybe if you had stayed in one spot for a long time, you would have rebuilt that trust. But moving from spot to spot.
Right. Because after that, I mean,
Mm-hmm.
moved to another state, and then we moved back to the states, and then we moved Georgia, Louisiana. I'm like we were all over the place, but um, and I learned a lot of difference of empathy and sympathy. I think.
Um, to kind of like follow up on friendship stories with you, um, it was because I did the opposite in the sense that I didn't get to move around. I was in the same place.
Same people, same
Yeah.
house,
Hmm.
same everything.
And I remember whenever we were for like first became friends before you left for Georgia, and you went to Georgia, and for me that was like how how can she go, because
Mhm.
it was so foreign for me.
Oh, right.
It
And
was
I've never
so
spent any more than 2 years of my life in
right.
one
So for
location,
you, it was
right.
like very
Yeah.
normal to be like, this part of my life is changing. And for me, it was like, what did I do to you? Like, why are you leaving me? But because I didn't understand
Mhm.
how normal that was for you in your life, and we'll go ahead while we're talking about moms, and I'm not throwing her under the bus either, but I don't remember her ever explaining that to me, that, hey, things are different. Like, things are different. Her life is different than your life. Don't take it personal. It's not all about
Mm.
you.
But
Every,
would it be something that you think she would have
no,
known
actually,
or
no,
recognized?
actually, I don't think she would, because even more she was stationary than I was, because she literally lived in the same house her entire life until she got married. And I think she did like have a roommate at one point before she married my dad. But yeah, I
Was
mean,
it?
she really doesn't
So
have a
she wouldn't have.
concept of moving direction or location of your life or starting over in that sense.
Right. Which I never had a problem doing.
Well,
Right. Yeah, that
that's
totally makes
why
sense.
whenever you said you think that this friendship thing caused the independence, I'm like, like every 2 years you started over. Why wouldn't you be independent?
Mhm.
Because you knew that it was going to be you that was going to have to go do that again.
Yeah. Oh fuck, freaking middle school and high school people are not nice.
No,
They're
it's the
horrible human
worst.
beings.
It's the worst, yeah.
So that constant like of starting over at those points was not easy. You found your circle. I mean, like I would always find my circle, but it also benefited to the military point before I got to like meeting to the point where I met you.
Mm,
Everybody was like that.
yeah,
Like everybody in my circle was used to you have a friend for a year and a half, 2 years, and
yeah.
you're moving on
And
because
I was literally the opposite. And so were our other friends at the school that we met at too. They were not mover arounders either.
no, they all been together since kindergarten.
Yeah,
Pretty
yeah, you
much.
want to talk about a dysfunctional group of human beings. Very dysfunctional. Um, I had a story that popped up in my mind while you were talking of like my first girl friendship that was traumatic for
Hmm.
me. It's actually an extremely vulnerable story that I don't know if I've ever told anyone before, but I don't know if it's relevant to this. I don't know if I should tell it. I could go with an FCA story. That's more along the lines of yours. I'll save the vulnerable one, but I really do understand what you're talking about. And as for the you thinking that they were your friends and that turning your back on you, I had a lot of that happen at our small school we met at.
Well, we had 12 people in our damn class. Like it was.
Look, all I can say is that I was terrified. I don't know who instilled it in me to be terrified of sex. We'll just say sex. I didn't really know of it as like sex at the time, but the whole genre of sex. And so I hadn't had my first kiss. I hadn't had nothing, and I walked into my algebra class, and Leah is a whore is written as big as possible on the chalkboard.
This was at FCA?
Yeah.
What grade was this?
It was you were still there. You had to have still been there because I left not long after you.
Crazy.
Um I mean I might have been there a year after you were gone maybe. But yeah, and that was done by somebody who I really thought she was my friend. And to this day, I'm not really sure why they did it, but they definitely turned on me. And I had never had my first kiss. I had barely held hands with a guy. And I
Yeah,
had,
you were pretty innocent compared to me when we first met. I
yeah.
mean, by then I was stealing cars and
But that
running
messed
away
me up.
and
I mean, here I am. I'm 43 years old and I'm telling that story. Let me say, the person, I don't think she'll watch, I don't think she watches this, but if she did, um, no, that friendship ended, she ended up being, she stood in my first wedding. She stood in my first wedding. So, um, I,
man, talk about forgive and forget. I couldn't
well,
have
you
done
want
it.
to know why?
There'd be no way.
Because remember how I just said we only had like 1 year left
Mm.
before, like I was at FCA maybe 1 year more than you. Um, and then my parents pulled me out for multiple reasons, but drama had a lot to do with it.
Fucking cheerleading coach.
Yeah, drama had a lot to do with it. It was causing me to have problems with schoolwork and stuff. But I had to go to, so I went from a very small, you know, Christian school where we had maybe 100 people in the whole high school
Right.
to public school in South Louisiana where the girls fought at lunchtime. And I knew not a single person there except for one person. The one who wrote Leah is a whore on the chalkboard.
Now you got me thinking, who the fuck was this? I can't remember. You'll tell me later. Tell me
Yeah,
later.
absolutely.
It's fine.
But I knew one person. And I'm not kidding you. I literally only knew one person. So who did I start eating lunch with? That one person. And she ended up saying, like, I to this day, like, her and I keep in touch, like, Facebook keep in touch.
Yeah.
She doesn't live in Louisiana anymore, and she's an amazing person. She's not a bad person by any means. She was just a middle schooler, I think we were in 8th grade or 9th grade when that happened. Yeah, yeah. So I'm gonna say it. God works in mysterious ways, but come on now. That was kind of like the starting point of the decline for me having to leave that school. And then that's the only person I know. Also, still proud of myself to this day for walking into that school by myself on the first day because I don't know where I got those guts from.
You didn't have a choice. There's nowhere else to go.
Well, but I don't remember. I mean, I don't remember being as terrified as I was for my first day my first day at college. I didn't go to class because I couldn't find it, and then it was late, and I was like, I'm just going back to my apartment. I didn't go to class. I didn't do that in high school.
What do you think, like, the trajectory that this put us on with our friendships? Well, one, let me start back. Like, I know all the whole circle of everything fucked me up because then it's like I can't trust women or girls, like, to be my friends because I still went on that same trajectory of these bitches in high school that were just horrible human beings to me. And then it's like, then I lean towards men and boys or being friends with. And then I become even more of a whore because yeah.
In today's terms, they would call me a pick-me girl. And I think
That's
about
what
that.
means.
I think about it all the time whenever I'm reading stuff because it wasn't that I gravitated more towards men because I liked men more. I didn't feel safe with women, and as friends or girls, we'll say girls because we were young.
Yeah,
they
right,
weren't women.
right.
They were girls. I didn't feel safe there. The horror on the chalkboard didn't help for sure, but there were other things that happened too. And I had issues with teachers that were women, so I didn't trust women, and so I just surrounded myself. My friends in my neighborhood were boys.
I remember that. Yeah.
And so today I would get called a pick me girl. And you know what? I'm gonna say I probably am a pick me girl, but not in the sense that they're calling me that. I don't hate the men the way you do. Like, I'm
Right.
not gonna hate on them. I'm not immediately gonna go, you suck, guy, just because you're a girl and I'm supposed to pick your side. And there's a lot of women that are not cool with that. They're like, you need to be a girl's girl. And I'm like, wait, I want to hear both sides of the story. And you are crazy because I'm one of you. So that they consider a pick-me girl.
No, you taught me a lesson because I don't know what's still like over
It's
my head.
technically supposed to be a girl that just wants men's attention so bad. The definition is supposed to be a girl that wants men's attention so bad that she'll do whatever she has to do to please them to get their attention, meaning she'll turn her back on girls. That's the meaning of it. But it's turned into this movement of you're not a girl's girl, you're a pick me girl. And I'm like, no. No, honey. I'm just not completely delusional.
So did they have, I mean, it whole, can't even talk. But it put me on a different way of the way I look at friendships and also in my relationships and expecting less out of a person in a friendship because of this, because I always just assumed they were
Wait,
gonna.
I got lost in that.
I know, right? That's what I was trying to say.
My
So, like, if you think about
ADHD.
this, like we talk about, it's not necessarily a checklist for me in a relationship, but I have my boundaries and my expectations, right?
Mhm.
Of what a relationship is. Now, on friendships, I find that I require a lot less of a so-called checklist and expectations, and I don't set very good boundaries on relationships because on friendships because it's a revolving door for me.
I see, and I would have thought the opposite of you. I
No,
would have thought that your standards and boundaries are super clear and you stick to them because you have more options.
no. But I have such a small. I don't know. There are what 7 billion people in this world. I have 3 friends.
But do you see what I'm saying? Like from the outside looking in,
Hmm.
where you're like, no, I don't really have these options. I'm not real. I only feel safe with three people.
Yeah.
And I'm like, but you have all these people to choose from.
Yeah.
So, I mean, like it's just an interesting. There's nothing wrong with either.
And I've been told, I mean, by multiple partners in a relationships standing that my expectations are too high
For girl friendships,
for romantic relationships. So I've never found a
I
balance
would say
to.
that that's a them problem and not a you problem because I do know you, and no, no, not that your standards aren't like not that I'm saying you need to
No,
be
no, no. Right.
higher,
Yeah.
but no, it's not. You're flexible
Right.
in all the senses.
But did it I and you're really good at about this because I think what that set me on to be is more sympathetic towards people, and you're really good at empathy versus I am.
You want to know a fear of mine
What?
is coming across as not being empathetic, and so I go out of my way to try to be empathetic, and then I'm like, what if I'm just faking it to try to be nice, and I'm not really
No, I think you
empathetic?
are truly empathetic, but you're empathetic to a fault for yourself.
Absolutely.
It starts affecting you internally of your
Because I
overexertion of empathy.
Well, and I prioritize them over me
Yes. Yeah.
because I don't want them to feel like I don't want them to think that I'm being selfish.
But you gotta be selfish
Well,
sometimes.
now I'm realizing that, but I'm 210 now.
And
In
just for
7th grade, that was never gonna happen ever.
And we what's interesting, we had a conversation with someone that we went to school with that I vaguely remember him but he's like, I always thought you were. This was recently with you and I. He's like, I always thought you're such a bitch in high school,
I
and
get
I'm
that a
like,
lot.
I wasn't a bitch. I only spoke with intent. Like I'm not gonna just go just talk and talk and talk. I only spoke to
Yes,
people with
that is very
intent.
true about you.
Yeah, so I will absorb a lot more energy and behavior from other people, but only speak what I truly feel a value to say out loud.
Yeah.
So I wasn't a bitch. I just didn't find the need to talk to people that.
It's interesting though because I don't ever remember a time from whenever I met you ever being intimidated by you, and I can be intimidated by other women pretty
Really?
easily. But I don't. So you couldn't have been giving off those vibes too heavy, just towards
Or
me.
maybe it was something like my 3 friends that I have are like.
No, I don't know, but yeah, I don't know. Girlfriends, like we could do multiple series on this because it could go really deep and how has it affected our romantic relationships?
Mhm.
Because how's it triggered different insecurities and things of that sort.
I mean, I think it's brought up an emotional intelligence I had to recognize very well and adjust to as my female
Hmm.
relationships. Um, Not taking on or absorbing their negativity or realizing that their negativity wasn't directed towards me.
Right, it
So
wasn't
that
personal.
it wasn't personal.
Like
So
when you got on that plane for Georgia.
right. And that was so funny you tell that story because I still vividly remember your mom was late getting there and they let her on the plane to
I was
come
that
and
was the only
buy.
that was yeah no that's the
That's
only
like
time I had ever been on a plane before.
yeah, y'all got literally on the plane with they.
Talk about pre 9/11.
I know, right? Um, but I will say the negativity of it all that sent me down the road is the vulnerability. I didn't or still don't have a vulnerability to me that I should probably should with people.
No, I don't know. No, I'm not going to agree with that. I think that we should protect ourselves at this point. especially in this world we live in. And when we're talking about our middle school days, we're talking about two different worlds.
Mhm.
So could we what we had learned back then, is it even relevant to today anyway? We have to protect ourselves in so many different angles and ways, and our children have had to grow up in that.
Oh, right.
There's no off time for them. There's no hiding on the floor in the bus for them
Right.
because social media is dinging.
Oh, that would have been videoed if it was happened to
And they
me
would have,
currently
it would
to
have
this
been like,
day.
Sarah, stand over there and turn your phone on. I'm going to cut her hair.
Right.
Like the whole thing would, and then you on the floor on the bus would have been videoed. And like, talk about traumatic.
I will say 10 years ago, it was 11 years ago, somewhere around there, she sent me a message on Facebook. She found me. Long ass paragraph apologizing for the way she treated me. Didn't recognize what she had done in the thing, but
Interesting that you noticed that.
yeah, but I didn't reply. I just didn't.
There's no point in it.
There was no point. I mean, we were way beyond.
And
I
like,
mean,
there probably wouldn't have been anything that you could have said that would have been appropriate for her anyway, because she would have, the only thing that somebody like that all these years later sends the long paragraph, the only thing that you could have said in response that she would have been okay with was you praising her. Like, oh, thank you so much. This means so much to me.
right.
Otherwise, she would have had a negative comment to make, just because that's how that type of person usually is.
And I think I didn't reply because the only thing I had to say was negative
Mm.
of what my trauma response was. I mean, what if I can't view scissors the
Yeah.
same way anymore? Like, I can't even use scissors
I
anymore.
would have wanted to reply, thank you for content for next therapy session.
I didn't reply
Thank
to
you
her.
for reminding me I have not discussed this yet in therapy. Have you
yeah.
talked about it at therapy?
No, I don't think I've really ever talked to very many people about it. I mean, it was definitely traumatizing, and I wish, and like I said, I wish maybe it would have been handled differently from my parents, but I don't know their side of the story to be able to say that.
It's a very formidable time in our lives. I mean, there are so many things that happened in that like little 3-year period of my
Oh,
life
shit.
that have become a part of who I am, good and bad.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
Yeah. I don't even talk about our cheerleading coach at the time. That
She was some of the reason why I had to leave the school.
exactly. Like
And
even
to this day, I would feel like she still would be like, give me side eye if
oh, I
saw her.
completely agree. But I still visualize her completely to the T of what she looked like in my head. So obviously there was some kind of trauma there to still remember that lady to such a degree in my head.
You want to know what's weird? I can smell her. Isn't that weird? Isn't that so weird?
I mean, it was a very. I mean, you're right. Those 3 years for both of us, that middle school, early high school point, it completely changed the person I was.
So I switched over to public school in my sophomore year, and it was the hardest thing in my life that I had faced yet in my life. And it was the absolute best thing that my parents could have ever done for me. It made me so much better of a person, not in the sense that I say like coming out of my marriage better person, but like I had a whole world opened up to me.
Your bubble was finally popped, and you
My
were able
bubble
to
was
leave.
popped, and then I was able to choose who I was, and then I was able to be proud of that because I
Yeah.
chose who I was, and I didn't choose badly. I don't care what anybody says. I didn't choose badly. I mean, everybody makes mistakes. They do. And I definitely made some mistakes, but I made decent decisions for a teenager.
Oh, I agree with
Unless
you.
I
You
was
weren't
driving.
terrible.
Unless
You-
I was driving, and I'm still bad at that. So
well,
that poor first car, it went through that Ford Probe. Oh man.
a lot of tires.
It should have been totaled probably 2 times before it was actually totaled. And then when it did get totaled, my little Ford Probe knocked over a truck. My Beanie Babies went everywhere. I was most upset about that.
All right, well, let's end that there then. Well, thanks guys for joining us in our friendship revolution over here. But
There's so much more we could say. Like it's like
right, that's like
we
really,
just knocked the top off the like the snow cone.
and y'all are learning slowly a little bit more and more. And if you have to watch every episode to put a full picture together sometimes of seeing, because we started backwards, really, if you think about it. We started about our most probably recent trauma, and we're starting to go
Mm-hmm.
instead of telling where our trauma started originally, and now you get to hear the whole stories.
Oh, but what we talked about today definitely caused me to marry the person I married.
Oh, we don't have time for that.
But it did. It did, guys. It did. It probably has something to do with that cheerleader coach, too.
Let's find her.
I know where she's at.
right, guys. Thanks for joining us for episode 17. I know, whatever. All right. Love you. Subscribe.
Peace out, homies.
Bye.